Oh, you're looking at it right there. One of the freshest faces on the MMA broadcasting scene right there. CBS Sports' own Brent Stover, now the voice of One Championship. And Brent, a colleague of mine, it's been a long time coming to chat with you. Hey, welcome to mixed martial arts. Welcome to cage fighting, bro.
It's unbelievable. As I was telling you, and I'm dead serious, this is bucket list type stuff. I've been a fan of your show for a long time and a fan of your work. So this is cool to be a guest on your show. And man, the MMA world is better than I ever could have anticipated. And as you know, once it gets in your blood, it goes to a whole different level.
It certainly does. And you are getting a front row seat literally throughout Asia and obviously for One Championship in the recent US debut. But look, I got a chance to work with you in the past on a Showtime boxing card. We both work for CBS. You're normally in the college sports space as a host, as a play-by-play announcer. You know, just brass tacks off the top, you get this cool career opportunity to make not a pivot or transition, but to add this to what you're already doing. How different is the preparation, the execution when we're talking about a big college hoops matchup, or we're talking about big time MMA in Singapore?
Completely different. Like it's, you know what it is? It's, this is going to sound like a cliche, but it's like a new challenge in my career that I didn't know I needed until I started doing it. And, you know, I'm really comfortable, obviously, in the college sports space, and I love doing what I do for CBS, and I hope I can do it forever. And when this opportunity came up, you know, my bosses there were nice enough to say, you know what, go for it. We're proud of you, and we feel like it's a great opportunity for you. But it's way different. Obviously, as you know, like it's a full week of preparation. Once you get there, the fighter meetings all day, typically sometime in the middle of the week. And then the production meetings and the rehearsals are intense. And you go through the entire show. And as you know, these are 4.5, 5 hour long shows where you got to be locked in and you got to know your stuff. And especially in One Championship, when it's not just the MMA, but it's the submission grappling and the Muay Thai and the kickboxing. I mean, it's a big undertaking, but it's also probably the coolest experience of my life to be able to go over to Asia and work with this whole new group of people and to be involved and have the shows be on Amazon. Like it's been a big challenge and it's been a steep learning curve, but it's come with a lot of cool stuff.
I mean, you made an instant transition and made it work and act like you belong. And it's a credit to your work ethic and who you are. But like, I've been covering mixed martial arts at like a, you know, elite level, ESPN, CBS Sports for like a decade. And the MMA fans still won't accept me. I'm still that boxing guy with the shitty takes who doesn't know an arm bar from a, from an armchair. How have you dealt so far with the, hey, who's this guy? Who invited him type of response? You know?
Yeah, I've sort of just kind of pretended that it's not there. I don't really, I'm not on Twitter, which I know people make fun of me about, but then other people, those same people are like, yeah, you're smart for not being on Twitter. So I'm sure I'm missing out on some pretty intense scrutiny, but at the same time, you know, I don't know. I've kind of just put the blinders on and said, okay, there's going to be people out there, of course, and there's going to be people that feel like they know more than I do, or I don't know enough. But man, I dove in as hard as I could, as quickly as I could. I get my hands on as much as I can. I follow your podcast. I read as much as I can. I watch, you know, even though there are competitors, I certainly do watch Bellator and I watch UFC. I like to see what other guys are doing and just kind of learn terminology and like you talked about, different submission techniques and all the different lingo through that. And to be honest, yeah, it's my first time broadcasting it, but I've been a casual to, I'd say a pretty casual MMA fan for a long time, especially like during the pandemic when that was one of the few sports going on. So I feel like I did come in with, and plus with the boxing background, but I still have a ways to go and I know that, but I do feel like over the last 10 months, you know, I feel pretty confident to the point where I've gotten here.
Absolutely. So you get a really cool life experience because they call you up and ask, you know, hey, you interested in this job? And by the way, you'll be in Asia a lot. You'll be in Singapore. You'll be in Bangkok. You'll be in I got to imagine some amazingly cool places. Were you a world traveler before this, Brent, or has this been an added perk? I mean, the flights have got to be long as shit, Stover, but man, you got to be seeing the world out there.
I am. No, I've never really been a world traveler. And like I did, you know what, for a few years I did the World's Strongest Man for CBS. So I do remember going to Manila and going to Malaysia. And both times I was like, this was really cool, but it was a one-time thing. I'll never be back. And then sure enough, fast forward like 4 years later, and I went back to Manila, I went back to Malaysia. I've been to Bangkok 4 times. I've been to Singapore 3 or 4 times. I'm going to Bangkok in June and again in July. So, I mean, Brian, I'm getting real close to, getting myself a place there in Bangkok.
Your air miles must be great right now. I mean, are you sitting in the cockpit at this point?
I wish. No, they do treat us good. As you know, like it's a big difference when you get to lay back and have your own area. Like, but it is long. I'm not going to lie. Like the trips end up being anywhere between 20 and 24 hours. So it's,
wow.
Yeah.
You could lose a full day in there for sure. Tell us now, because look, the American MMA scene is on fire. The crowds are great. I think so many of these promotions do a great in-arena experience, which helps with that. But it does seem to be pretty special when I watch these great one championship cards on Prime Video from these locations we're talking about, where like, if somebody said, BC, what's the Asian fan fight response? The only real correlation I would have is like, when Mike Tyson would box in Japan, when he got, upset by Buster Douglas, and everybody's really quiet and respectful until it's time to explode. What's it been like with the MMA crowds you've seen in terms of that intensity offset with the just different atmosphere? I mean, you don't see a lot of like Affliction t-shirts out there,
Yeah, well, and to your point, and just to add to it, like the fights that we do in Asia, it's morning over there because it's the opposite time. So we want it to be in America in primetime Friday night. So the fights start at 7 a.m. over there.
Oh, wow.
And there's times when first off at 7 a.m. there's a good crowd, but like by 9 a.m. it's packed. And especially going to Bangkok, we've been doing these fights in the iconic Lumpini Stadium, and it's kind of a smaller venue. I think it seats 3,000 or 4,000, but the stands almost kind of go straight up, so the fans are on top of you. And the atmosphere in there is sensational, like some of the coolest stuff I've seen in my involvement in sports throughout my career. But man, the fans over there are awesome, and they're really knowledgeable. And there's certain fighters that, like, especially in Bangkok, if you have one of these Muay Thai superstars, like they go nuts for them. But maybe the best thing I've experienced is Ongla and Song. He's one of the top guys in MMA and won championship. And he's from Myanmar, a tiny little country, used to be Burma. And there's a statue of him there. Like, he can't even walk outside without getting mobbed. And that like transfers to wherever he fights in Asia. Like the fans come out in full force from Myanmar for Ongla and Song. So
the Burmese Python, indeed.
The Burmese Python. Yeah, you didn't need me to tell you. So
there it is.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Well, look, you guys had a great crowd for the first one championship, Fight Night 10, that took place just outside of Denver. That crowd was, even for American standards, seemed to deliver. There was I thought the matchmaking was great. You had some fan favorites on there. You may be new to the company, but you know how important putting the flag down in the US and maybe starting a new trend in that direction could end up being for Shatri and company there. How successful did you feel like that smelt that was that night in a big opportunity for one championship to take a big step forward?
I'm getting chills talking about it again because it was packed, 6,000. You've heard Chatri talk about it when he was doing the rounds, doing interviews in the United States a couple of weeks ago, that it does kind of make you wonder how big of a stadium we could have sold out. Sure. Now, would it have been the arena downtown in Denver? I don't know. But that thing sold out really quickly, and I know more people wanted to go. 6,000 strong, chanting USA. When DJ fought, it was electric. When Sage Northcutt came back and got that submission in 39 seconds in his return to the one circle for the first time in 4 years, it was awesome in there. Like the whole night was, I felt like it was a home run, and it really gets me excited. I don't know when we'll be back in the United States again, but I know it's coming. And I thought that was like the perfect like opener for us in America to see how successful it can be. And I don't know when it's coming, but it's going to come. And that's obviously a big reason, this partnership with Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah, for sure. And it was such a great mix of characters, and it's no disrespect to great fighters like Rodtang or Stamp Fairtex, who are incredible, vicious, amazing fighters, but they're also characters from another country that I like that they were featured in such a big way. Let's start right there, Brent. You've covered both of these athletes. I mean, it's almost like the marketing that goes with them, and it's sort of from who they are, Stamps dancing, the social media presidents, that it almost feels like they're colorful characters from a movie who can also really fight. But the fans seem to gravitate to both of these superstars in almost like a pro wrestling way.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. And back to your point about one championship, another thing I like is you kind of feel like you're at a rock concert as well on these walkouts. Even when it's not Stamp walking out. But yeah, when she comes out and does her dance, like Dave Harmon is my producer, by the way, and he did all the HBO boxing for years, all the big Tyson fights. He's has won a ton of awards. And the reason I bring his name up is he's big on like laying out and letting the moment take care of itself. And when she came out, I was like, do you want some here? He's like, no, let's just watch this and enjoy it. And she's such a great entertainer. And when you see her out there dancing, having a great time, and when you talk to her in the fighter meetings, like, she is literally the friendliest, most down to earth, and just soft spoken. Like, if you saw her on the street, there is no way in a million years you would think that she's a stone cold killer. And that's what I like, is how everything changes from the Stamp dance and everything outside the circle. And then she gets in there and she's absolutely as deadly as they come. And then with Rodtang, he's the greatest showman, I think, in martial arts, from what I've seen. Like, not just his entrance into the circle, but when he gets in there, when he loves to just walk forward and take shots, and you can see him, and he just bring it on. He just keeps coming forward. Like, it's just, if I were his opponent, like, it would be so deflating, because you feel like you land a couple of good combinations and he just keeps coming forward, that big smile on his face. He's talking trash. Like, I mean, he's got a tremendous resume and a great personality to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally like a bad guy in a Rambo movie, but it's not a fake persona. That's who he is. Like you say, willing to take the punishment, willing to entertain. The creative fight with DJ Demetrious Johnson was incredible as a spectacle, as sort of a fun exercise. But speaking of the great DJ, I like, obviously, the placement of him in the main event for the US debut, and it happened to be in a great rivalry, a trilogy fight in which each fighter delivered such dramatic moments to get us to the third fight. But we did talk a lot coming in and now going out about the future of one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time, but still one of the best pound for pound today. We don't want him to go, but from the time you've talked with him and interviewing him and watching him in the post-fight openly sort of navigate, I don't know what I'm going to do moving forward. What do you think DJ will do? Because we know he's still got it. But do you think he feels like there's enough challenges to keep chasing after this?
I've been thinking about this a lot this week, because I knew we were going to come here. I don't know, but if you said you have to have an answer, I would venture. I think we've seen him for the last time, because I don't think it's in his nature to lay down the gloves and do the big thing. And I would have preferred that. Like, I hope to be calling his last fight. I hope he's not done. And I hope he keeps going. But in chatting with him, he always goes back to the same thing, and he never changes on this. This is a business, it's all business. Because you try to get him to say stuff like going into the fight, like he says stuff where you kind of feel like he's annoyed with Marias. Like, Marias I'm gonna have to try to chase him around. I'm gonna be the one trying to create the action. I just can't get caught, all that stuff. And I asked him last time, I said, it sounds like you're a little bit ticked off for the way Marias goes about it. And he goes, no, just business. And I think it goes beyond that. That's just the way that he has approached this. And I don't know for how long. I'm relatively new to working with DJ, but I do know this. He has other things that he wants to do professionally outside of the circle. I know that he was on with a broadcast with us. He would have a huge future in broadcasting if he wanted to do that. But I just get the sense that he wants to walk out on his terms when he feels great. Physically, he is in good a shape as he's ever been. So it would not shock me at all if we've seen him for the last time. Now, that said, earlier on that card in Denver, Kairat Akhmatov, who's now third ranked after a big win earlier in the night in Denver, Akhmatov wants him, and that would be the natural next fight for DJ to defend his belt. But Brian, I think we've seen the last of DJ. That's a long way. That's a long answer to that, but that's
what I mean. That's it's interesting. Sometimes it's the right matchup, the right time. That sometimes it's a little bit of time away. Somebody finds that fire again. But in talking to him myself, I did get the feeling like if he wakes up tomorrow and decides that's it, it's going to be it. He seems a man of principle in that regard. And if it is the end, man, what a tremendous career. And I feel like he's done a lot just the same for the one brand as an ambassador. But if you're going to ask me, Brent Stover, my favorite one championship fighter, it's probably Anatoly Malykhin right now. And I don't lie. I'm kind of new to the depths of the one roster. Last calendar year really pulled me in the the broadcast in the US now being so accessible has been a big part of it. But this guy, the interim heavyweight champion, is an absolute hammer. The December knockout of Rainier de Ridder, man, that's about as brutal as it gets. You were right up for that. What the heck is this hammer like in person?
I wouldn't ever want to get close to that. I mean, he's one of the best heavyweights or light heavyweights in the world, across UFC, Bellator, all the different promotions. De Ridder had never lost. And he was 16-0 coming into that. And he was riding high. And he's in the best shape of his life. And he got absolutely destroyed by Malykhin. And Arjan Bhullar, I don't know when this fight is going to happen. It keeps kind of coming on and then coming off. And officially, I don't think there's an official date on this fight. But if I see Bhullar actually get in the circle or in the ring, I'm going to have so much respect for Arjan Bhullar. Sure. Because I get the sense he wants no part of Anatoly Malykhin, and I don't blame him if he doesn't, because this is one of the most dangerous men on the planet. And what's interesting is he is at most of the fights. I believe he lives in Thailand, Malykhin, and he is everybody within the promotion, because we all stay at the same hotel. He's always hanging out in the lobby. He's hanging out in the bar, hanging out in the restaurant. He is literally the life of the party. He's everybody's favorite person to be around. He's the most fun-loving. He knows just enough English to where it even makes him more entertaining and even builds his character even more, because it's funny the way that he speaks. And I mean that in every sense of respect. And there is something about this guy. And I'm a huge believer that, a lot of it, you got to be awesome as a fighter, but you got to be marketable. You got to be entertaining. You got to bring the fire, and he brings everything. Like, if there's one guy besides DJ, I'm on board with you in one championship that you can build this thing around, it's Anatoly Malykhin.
Yeah, the 12-0 up to this point, the proof is in the pudding of those recent knockouts. I hope we get to see that unification with Bhullar. Just a guy that jumps through my screen, so he's certainly been one of my favorites to watch up to this point. You look at this sport now, and the rush that you get when you're there. Do you get that calling hoops? Is it just a different feeling of that when you're courtside and the crowd's going nuts, or is it because of the violent nature of it that it does seem to escalate?
No, you can't recreate this anywhere. And I'm trying to think, probably the best hoops atmosphere I've been in was with Creighton Providence like 5 years ago. Doug McDermott's senior night hung like 44. It was unbelievable in Omaha. And that I remember just getting chills. But man, this once a month, I think part of it too is it's once a month. And so there's so much buildup to it, and you're so close to the action, and it's so violent. And like I said, I think on your first question, it gets in your blood. And I have not in my career, and I've been doing this for I think 23 years now, there has not been a feeling that I've been able to get to quite like this. And, I've had the opportunity to be on the desk at the Final Four at Army Navy, wherever, and those, it's awesome. All that's taking nothing away from the cool stuff that I've, or at Super Bowls, but there is nothing like it, like a big fight. And going back to the Denver card, the cattle stam against RoboCop, Roberto Soldic.
Oh, that was a brutal fight. Yes.
I mean, just the atmosphere, it was just palpable, and you just knew that someone was going to get knocked out. And no, I have not been able to find that ever. And I've found it with MMA one championship.
I found it with combat sports in general. You know, I'll never forget being ringside for the first time covering boxing and just being like, yeah, this thing, I need to be here for the rest of my career. You know, like this is what it is. It's so real. It's so incredible. But Hot Stove, my friend here, you've got an other burgeoning career that provides a different kind of rush, just the same. An aspiring country musician, lead singer of the Brent Stover band. I think these are all true statements up to this point. I've had fun watching some of your journey that you post on your Instagram with this side gig you got going on, picking up the guitar, singing some good country songs. I mean, the chicks do dig this, I'm told, apparently, though. But how serious is this? Because you're building momentum. You're playing the circuit here in New York City. How serious is this?
I'd like to pretend that it's not, but once I sink my teeth into something, like I just can't not. I'm pretty serious about it. I'll be honest. And I give a lot of credit to my coworkers at CBS and now at One Championship as well. And people such as yourself, honestly, like just getting little DMs and stuff. Like, I think once people around me, because I was apprehensive. I was like, what are people going to think? Like, he's picking up a guitar when he's 40 years old and he thinks he's a country singer. And like, I was really probably too worried about, what are people going to think? Like, this guy's an idiot. And people have been so unbelievably supportive, like just reaching out to me like, this is so awesome that you're doing this. And I think that's helped kind of build the momentum for me. So, I haven't gotten much traction, let's be honest, but I have been on tour with a buddy of mine last summer and had a great time and played with his band out of Nashville and played in some cool atmospheres and playing around the city and releasing my own music. I got a new song coming out this summer. Like, I would say I'm taking it probably more seriously than I actually should, but
no, all in, brother, all in. All right, you're living our dreams out there.
It's
to some
fun.
degree.
I appreciate it.
How would you describe the original music you craft here? I mean, does cage fighting need a country song? Yeah, I think it does. But how would you describe your original material?
It's pop country. I try to write to the times, to what people are putting out. I mean, the song that has gotten a little bit of traction is Insta Girl Next Door, talking about meeting your dream girl on Instagram. So that was sort of one that my friends kind of wrote the lyrics for me, and then I kind of turned it into a melody and into a song. So I'd say that's a pretty good example of what I do. But I definitely have a couple of like sad country songs, typical of what you would hear in that genre. And in June, I'm doing some kind of interesting. I've always loved the song Mr. Brightside. I think most people do.
You're the Killers, yeah.
And one time I was really kind of paying attention to the lyrics, and I was like, we could slow this thing down and turn it into a kind of a sad country song, throw that steel guitar on there and those long steel riffs. And so I was just in the studio last Sunday and we shot a video for it, and so that thing is really close to being done. So I'm going to be releasing a cover of Brightside, a country cover.
Look at this guy just effing around in his spare time, playing gigs. I like it. I like it. Hot Stove. You're on a good run here. Where can we see your work here? I know you're going to be back in One Championship on June 10th. That's going to be back in the Lupini Boxing Stadium in Bangkok on Prime Video. You're going to be out on the college football gridiron this fall. Where can we find Brent Stover?
Absolutely. I'll be in the studio in college football again in the fall. And then, I kind of get some downtime from CBS Sports during the summer, kind of the way the sports calendar works. But here and there, the next time you'll see me, I guess on the television, be on Prime Video there for that Lumpini show in Bangkok.
It'd be fun. I mean, look, you got it. You guys are building some good chemistry here on the announce team. Rich Franklin, and who's the third guy? Mitch, correct?
Mitch Chilson, former one fighter, the Dragon. Yeah.
You guys are figuring it out there. I mean, I've loved getting a chance to catch up with Ace and interview him of late. How does this announce booth work? What's the secret to the chemistry here?
I don't know. I think we're all good friends, and I think we just have figured out we spend now it is different than when you only see each other for that week because it's in a different country, but during that week, we spent a lot of time ribbing on each other. It was kind of a natural thing where Rich has even told me, hey, I didn't know who you were before. I knew you didn't have a huge background in MMA, but he's told me it's the ultimate compliment. He was like, right away, I could tell that you wanted to sink your teeth into it and understand. The best part about being around Rich is watching his old fights with him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that was, and he wasn't trying to, I was like, give me 3 fights and take me through it. And so the coolest thing I've done, I mean, this guy's a Hall of Famer, one of the greats of all time. And I'm sitting here like this on the laptop with him, watching his fights, and he's taking me through like what he was feeling in those moments and stuff. So I think just stuff like that builds it. And Mitch, man, he's a great broadcaster, and he knows the game really well, and he knows all the different disciplines, and he's just fun to be around. So I think we try to just take the off-air thing onto the air with us, and
there it is.
Keep it pretty loose.
There it is. You guys hit the high notes when it matters, and I've really enjoyed it. So happy to say you guys are really starting to put it together. It's been a lot of fun. We'll see you June 10th, Bangkok, Thailand, Prime Video. It is One Fight Night 11. This is Brent Stover right here. So, welcome to MMA, man. I hope the people, you're not going to see the mentions, but I hope the people are feeling what I'm feeling right now. Great to catch up with you, buddy.
Brian, thank you so much. This was really cool to be part of your show. Do it anytime.